My name is Jules. I'm a software engineer from France. I'm here at PLEN Robotics because I have to do an internship to graduate from my engineering school. So my project is to improve the PLEN Cube's remote configurability. The goal was to be able to configure the cube remotely with an internet connection. So for instance, you can configure the cube of a client which is far away from the Osaka office in Japan. So the PLEN Robotics team, and especially the engineering team, doesn't have to move to the cube's location or ask the client to send it to the company to be able to configure it or debug it.
This is just an example. You have a list of the available cubes, and then you have access to the settings or the backups. And when you open a category, you can see subcategories that contain actual settings that can be modified on the cube. So what this interface gives is a way to edit the settings of the cube, but also see if the cube has to download the settings and what the latest changes are. And you also have a way to sort the settings, so to get the latest updated first. And you also have a way to make presets. So for instance, what is a preset is, for instance, I change settings as I'd like them to be. So let's say I just put that to on, turn that to on, and change the value of this setting, press update, and then I want to save that in a preset where so I can so I can apply these settings again in the future. So for instance, I just do test, I create the presets, and so here you see if I come back, so I have a list of the preset I created, and if I come back to no preset, I have the value of the interface as they are currently inside the cube. And if I change to the preset I just created, you can see that the settings value are changed, and so now I can ask the cube to apply them. So this is a good way to have multiple configuration for one cube, which allows you to quickly change the configuration of the cube. So that is pretty much it for this interface.
It implements three components, which are the cube, the Firebase database, and the web application. And that the challenge was to make the communication between those three components in the most efficient way. Basically, how do we do it and how do we architecture this data flow was the most challenging part. So what I've learned in this project is, well, first of all, in terms of pure coding, is like how to code in Vue, because I've never coded in this framework before, and also how to use Firebase, because I've never worked with Firebase before either. So this was interesting, and also how to how does an IoT product works, because the PLEN Cube is an IoT product, and I've pretty much never worked with an IoT product before, so it was interesting to see how a robot like this is working, and how the ROS environment is allowing such a product to work. So yes, this is what I've learned in terms of coding, and maybe in terms of managing my my time and my tasks. I learned how to be more self-sufficient, like how to think more by myself, because the management was sometimes quite busy, so I have to just solve things by myself, and also manage the task I have to do, so I do it in the most efficient manner possible. Yes, that's what pretty much it. I had many classes on different aspects of software engineering at my school, and so we had classes on how to architecture a web application and how to do it correctly, and how to think about the data flow between the components. And so I think it was on this part my education was what I've learned in school was very useful to do that, because we've studied data flows between a web application and a backend, like a server, and also with a database inside and a different type of models. So I think this was what was the most useful. So working at PLEN Robotics, so in a startup, is nice because you have more, I think, freedom. For instance, when I can come to work, not pretty much whenever I want, but like there is no precise time where I have to clock in and precise time where I have to clock out. So sometimes if I have something to do one morning before going to work, I can take the time to do it and come to work a bit later than usual, and then work a bit and leave the work a bit later than usual. So this is something nice and enjoyable when you work in a startup environment. You have freedom in what you develop. So you have, of course, guidelines on the feature you have to do, and you have instructions on how it should look and how it should work. But you do it how you want to do it. Yes, I don't know if it's specific to PLEN Robotics, but maybe learn a little bit of Japanese. It can be good for your everyday life, and even talking to all the employees at PLEN that maybe do not speak English. And in terms of working, I'd say just try to enjoy it as much as possible. This is a good opportunity to learn new things and have a professional experience, and claim responsibility for what you do, so you do it the best you can. Yes.
Okay.